When in Vegas, you gamble, but while most of the time you end up blipping out of the casino like Tyler Reddick here, sometimes you win big. In this particular race, the options were clear. Stay out, save fuel, and hope you built up enough of a gap to hold off the drivers who pitted, or pit for fresh tires and hope the speed advantage you would gain would make up for the lost time. The jackpot for both options was winning the race. Christopher Bell, the race's dominant driver, went for the latter option, hoping his fresh tires would secure him the win. But ultimately, that would wind up being a mistake. Why? Because the fuel mileage master himself, Joey Logano, decided to stay out and gamble on fuel. And for the second time this season, he stretched the limit on fuel and took home the win. But here's where it gets even more bizarre. This one would keep Logano's streak alive of making the championship four in every even year since the knockout-style elimination format started in 2014. Impressive? Sure. But let me be totally honest here. I don't think he should be there. And I don't say that lightly. I'm not just saying he's not having a championship caliber season, he's not even really having a good season. Let me hit you with the facts. In 33 starts, he's recorded just 6 top 5 finishes and 11 top 10s. With an average finish of 17.5. While those aren't the worst numbers in the world, they're nowhere near indicative of someone who should be competing for a championship. Still not convinced? Let me give you some context. Among the 34 full-time NASCAR Cup Series drivers, Logano ranks 11th in top 5s, 15th in top 10s, and 17th in average finish. There's no way you can look at those numbers and tell me this guy should be competing for a championship in a few weeks. If a Spire driver put up those numbers, I would say they're good. But considering we are not talking about a Spire driver, and in fact we are talking about someone who is locked in to compete for a championship, they are not good. Need more proof? Logano ranks below or tied with Bubba Wallace and Chris Buescher in all of those categories, and they didn't even make the playoffs. But despite all that, there is one stat that Logano is beating everybody in except Kyle Larson. And obviously that stat is wins, which Logano has 3 of this season. And those 3 wins, along with some help from Alex Bowman, are what is single-handedly saving his season. While yes, a cup win is a cup win, and at the end of the day, they count the same in the record books, the context of those wins matter when discussing how good of a season someone is having. And if you look at Logano's, none of them are really quality wins. The only win I'm going to give a bit of a pass is this win in Atlanta. Since he ran up front all day and it didn't really have any direct quantifiable effect on him reaching the championship 4, since he would have made the round of 12 without that win. Who knows what kind of effect that win had on the team's confidence moving forward through the playoffs, but I can't really factor that in quantifiably, so that win doesn't really leave a bad taste in my mouth. But it should be noted that that was still a super speedway win, and those typically aren't held in as high of regard as any other type of track, because those races can be crapshoots. I mean, if Harrison Burton can win at that type of track, pretty much anyone can under the correct circumstances. Although this win was not like Burton's. Logano runs up front all the time in super speedways and had ran well there all day. But the other two, they just kind of rolled the dice and it landed in his favor. I already made a full video on what happened in Nashville, link in bio if you haven't checked that one out. But in summary, in one of the worst endings to races I have ever seen, the race went to 5 overtimes and Logano just kind of stayed out on track longer than anyone else and inherited the win. And all he and crew chief Paul Wolfe really did was stay out, commit, and pray. On the surface, that seems ballsy. They didn't really have much to lose, since he was kind of just holding on to a playoff spot by the edge of his teeth, and it didn't look like he was going to score a good finish anyway, so may as well try it at that point. And what makes this one worse, in my opinion, is the fact that he wouldn't even made the playoffs if not for that win. And really, it wouldn't have been close either. Logano was sitting 15th in non-playoff standings at the time, 74 points behind Chris Buescher, who would have been the last driver in on points if Nashville didn't happen, which makes it wild to think that he somehow made it all the way to the championship 4 in those circumstances. Even more wild is the fact that I kind of just misled you guys when I said he was sitting 15th in the non-playoff standings. Want to know why that is? It's because he still is sitting 15th in non-playoff standings. So the word wasn't really the right word to use there. That's right, someone who's not even in the vicinity of the top 10 point scores this season is competing for a championship. Let that sink in. At that point, it shouldn't even matter if he had dominated all 3 of those races. He has not displayed the consistency required to compete for a championship by any means. This isn't a hit piece on Logano because you can't really hate on someone that's playing a bad system better than everybody else. Honestly, it's impressive he's managed to make it this far, and it shows how clutch he truly is. His lesser drivers would have run out of gas in Nashville, been passed by a hard-charging Christopher Bell in Vegas, or would have blown the overtime restart in Atlanta. I want to more so bring up the fact that his poor season is being rewarded by a system that overvalues winning. While winning is great, it's not the only thing that matters, and it shouldn't be understated how bad he's been in the 30 other races that he didn't win in. But what do you guys think? Have I nailed it in the head, or am I just being a hater? Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you at the races.